What? What's up? What are you just trimming that beard now? You're not getting rid of it. You just kind of trim it up once a little bit so it stays white.
I'm doing the Amish look.
Is that what you call that? Do you have a mustache on there or not?
No.
Oh, nice.
Well, I mean, I just buzzed it. I got sick of eating and tasting it later, so I just buzzed this around my lips and kept the Amish beard.
That's nice. I was gonna say
the kids don't want to see me go in public with me. I went to pick up Grant today in the cities, and he was like, "Okay, just put a mask on." And I'm like, "Oh, okay, well, whatever. That's what you want."
That's awesome. How you doing, bro? We haven't talked in a while.
I don't know. I'm fine.
Only had a little bit of texting because David Bakhtiari went on that Bussin' with the Boys. Man, the Bussin' with the Boys, that's like dirt. That's the all-time dirt that comes out in that show, huh? Or something happens. I don't know. I didn't hear it all, but
Aaron Rodgers was dumb in August. We got a couple good things from him there, and Barstool Sports too. We got from Aaron Rodgers interview. Now we got the Bussin' with the Boys, Bakhtiari talking about the Packers, like, they, and them, and they, and them, and they.
Wow. I took all of their money the last couple of years
and didn't play
for just training and like rehabbing. But those guys, that team, yeah. Okay.
Did you see that? No,
I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, you just read it or what?
I watched a little bit of. I caught a tiny clip of it through like Sims and Florio. Because you know what, I gotta say, I like Sims and Florio, and I like Florio.
Yeah,
I don't know why everybody hates Florio. He's probably because he
hates Aaron Rodgers. That's so
well. Too bad. Right. He hates Aaron Rodgers, but he used to be a lawyer, so he reads people's
into things. Yeah,
he does. And now sometimes he goes a little far because that's what you got to do, But he also a lot of times is like, look, when you're trained to examine people's statements, here are some things you can look for, and these are some red flags. And I see him, and he says it, and he talks about it. So I'm good. Go ahead.
Oh, I didn't see the Sims Florio. I want to get to check that out. But that's what I want to talk about.
Yeah,
is there's a couple things Bakhtiari said. And the one about the Packers keeping Rodgers and not playing him and paying him and for sitting on the butt, I'm like, no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I mean, if they keep him, he'll play. No, and it'll be really stupid. But I don't know what else they could do with it. They can't pay a guy $60 million and have him not play. That's just dumb.
Well, if all he wants to do is win MVPs and they're not worried about winning games,
well, we know that, but I don't know if the Packers know that.
I think they do.
You know that. I know that.
I think Goody finally knows.
I don't know if they really know.
Okay.
But that's smart.
Continue. I interjected. I'm sorry. Continue on.
No, but I was just saying, like, that's a key thing about this is the whole they, and Bakhtiari is convinced that they're in a rebuild, right?
What? Where did that?
You didn't hear that?
I heard it, but I don't understand it. How is this team that had kept all the nucleus of this defense together pretty much, basically the only change they're making is their aging quarterback who played well below average last year? How the hell is that rebuild? I don't get it. Anyway, continue on.
Yeah, well, that's how it works, dude. Here, share it. Here we go.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Listen to this. You guys shared?
Yep, you're up there.
He's whether you think so or not, they don't like.
Oh, come on! Don't do this to me now. I hate Minnesota.
It only does
it
it
be
when...
good? I don't. Be bad. Probably if you're betting, more people are gonna think they're gonna be bad than good, right? Isn't that fair to say?
Sure.
So then they'll be like, "Well, we're gonna suck anyways. We want what we want, and we're not gonna bend anyone. So we'll just eat it. You can stay sell and retire. We'll pay you. We don't care because we're gonna. If we're gonna do it our way, it's gonna be on our terms."
Stop sharing. So there you go. So the key is just they're going to suck. They are going to suck. The Packers are going to suck. They're in a rebuild. They're going to suck.
You're going to suck. There are other quotes.
I was trying to find. There's a quote in there later on too where something happens. But the key points are. I want to take it from 2 points of view.
Sure.
As the person who's going to give Dave Bakhtiari the benefit of the doubt, I'll go there first. And I'll ask you what you think about it.
Good luck with that. Okay.
Let's say you are at 11-year, going into your 11th year or 10th year, whatever it is. You've been on the team all this time. So you've been there with the highs and the lows with this regime. Not only that, but at one point you came in as a new guy in the height of a playoff run where the Packers made the playoffs in 2009, 2010. Actually, what was 2008, 2009? Not 2008. 2009, 2010, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2014. They made the playoffs all those years in a row. He showed up at the very end of that. And when he showed up, he watched Josh Sitton be gone. He watched Bulaga be gone. He watched TJ Lang be gone. He watched Corey Linsley be gone. All the guys that taught him things, who were staples for the team during all that time, all be gone. Heck, he watched his head coach get canned. So he's seen everybody under the sun leave, and the team decide, we're done with you, we're done with you, we're done with you, we're done with you, we're done with you. And now he's watching the big head honcho, Aaron Rodgers, who he, obviously is his friend and he believes is good. We're done with you, right? And not only that, but he's also seen other guys. And now, like coming back this year, who's Dave Bakhtiari's buddies on the team? Aaron Rodgers, Robert Tonyan. The only guy he's got left is Elton Jenkins, and he's fairly young. He's going to his 5th season.
Right.
But Bakhtiari is like the veteran on this team, especially on offense. There's nobody else who's anywhere near the years in the league as him on this team right now, because Big Dog gone, Cobby gone, Lazard gone, Tonyan gone, Rodgers gone. They're all gone, and they're not coming back. Everybody, just so you know, they're not coming back. So he's all that's left, and and not only that, over the last 3 seasons, not last 3 seasons, but 19, 20, and 21, they were a playoff team with a lot of those players on the team with key roles on offense. Even when he was injured, he watched those guys make plays to get to be a winning team and so forth. So his thought that they're in a rebuild, and not only that, he's not the brightest guy in the world. So his thought that they're in a rebuild, he doesn't watch the film. He doesn't care what the defense looks like, right? His own defense. He only cares about his job, his offense, what they're going to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And based on all the things that have happened, they haven't signed back any of those guys on offense. They've signed back the defensive guys, right? Rudy Ford, Keyshawn Nixon, Justin, what's his name?
Collins.
Justin, yeah, him. But all defensive guys they signed back. No offensive guys they've signed back.
Right.
And the offense was the problem last year. Now, it was because of the guys that were on the team and that they got rid of them. They're not coming back. Now, we know that. Bakhtiari doesn't understand that. So that's why I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. He thinks it's a rebuild. He believes it's a rebuild because he's never seen this before. As much as he did see all of his friends in the offensive line go, they didn't all go the same year.
Sure.
TJ Lang was gone. Then Josh Sitton was gone. Then, what's up, dude? And then, eventually guys are gone. But now this time it's like boom, 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 boom. Like everybody's gone. Mercedes Lewis, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, Robert Tonyan, Aaron Rodgers. 5 guys, 5 veterans, and 2 of them were really good friends of his, Bakhtiari, Tonyan and Rodgers. Gone. And he's the last guy standing, which is funny because he hasn't played much in the last 2 years, even though he's got paid like he played. So I'm just going to say, for that comment of him saying they're in rebuild, they're probably going to suck. Now, the they, that's a different, we're not going to talk about that. But as far as him believing it's a rebuild, I understand his thought process. Now, here's my question to you. Do you think Dave Bakhtiari is the kind of guy who will be a professional? So even if he believes they're in a rebuild, will he show up, work hard, be ready to play, be a key component of the offense, hold his job down, even though he's obviously painfully stated that he believes it's a rebuild? Will he be the professional that he's being paid to be and give us his best performance when he obviously believes it's a rebuild and they're going to stink? What do you think? Will he do that? Will he perform based on his contract as a professional player or not? What do you think? That's my question to you. Because I don't know.
Let me add on to the end of that. And the investment the team made in him and how they stuck with him through the last 2 years of basically no playing, but paying. So no playing, but paying. So based on all that, and then he's using this language and talking about it that way? No, absolutely not. David Bakhtiari has proven to me that he's about the last couple of years that he's about David Bakhtiari. Now people could say, "Well, he was injured, coming back from this injury," and da, da, da. Yeah, I get it, and that's fine, and that stuff can take longer. And I'm not saying you rush back from those things, but he's very focused on himself. On if his body doesn't feel just right, well, then he's not going to practice and he's not going to whatever. And maybe I'll go and maybe I won't go and blah, blah.
And that's
blah.
the perfect excuse at this point. If he doesn't believe in the team, that's it. And I'll say this.
I listened to me again, guys.
I listened to the entire 3-hour long Bussin' with the Boy. It was the most long.
Your soul boring.
I got to tell you something. That Will Compton guy, I think he's got like one brain cell. No offense.
They're not very good. And
Taylor
and
Lewan
David Bakhtiari
is not the smartest.
David Bakhtiari is not a good communicator. He's very weird at like trying to tell his story or what he's trying to say.
Yeah,
he kind of bubbles around a bit. He's not the best communicator. Let's just say that.
There's some key things that he says.
They're not great
later on.
Yeah.
He says.
Good job.
He says that I did. It was long. He said that. He doesn't have any ill will toward Aaron Rodgers for leaving. He's like, hey, I care more about Aaron than I care about 12 in a Green Bay Packer uniform. It's pretty much what he's something like that. Yeah. Which means he's got his buddy. And then he also said, hey, I wasn't upset. I wasn't upset with Corey when he went to take more money to go, to be with the the Chargers. I wasn't upset. I told Devontae, hey, you got to do what you got to do. If that's what you want to be traded, then that's okay. I told Elton Jenkins this past season when his contract was coming up, if he needs, you got to do what's best for him, whether it's stay with the Packers and sign back or not. Now he did obviously and signed the extension and he stayed with the Packers. And he said that the personal relationships with his teammates is obviously more important than them in a Green Bay Packer uniform and performing on the field, based on what he said later on in one of the things. Which means to me that his commitment to the Packers is not
the same as the commitment.
It's not the same as Aaron Jones.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Now Aaron Jones took a $5 million pay cut. Randall Cobb took a $5 million pay cut last year. Those guys had commitment to the team.
Mm-hmm.
Bakhtiari, he doesn't have commitment to the team. He's got commitment to his buddies and commitment to himself. And I don't blame him. I'm going to be honest. Because he was, how long did he play at a really high level on a peanut contract from being a 4th-round pick? He was underpaid for a long time.
Sure, yeah. I get it.
So, I get it, right? Like, it's fine. But the thing that's interesting to me is, based on his comments with his they and his they and his they, I don't, and he doesn't believe they're going to win. He believes because all those guys are gone, all the veterans are gone on offense now, and they're going to be starting off with a bunch of young guys. He thinks it's going to be a disaster. I'm telling you that right now in his mind, he thinks it's a disaster. And it's very convenient that he can just use his injury and turn it into a Zadarius Smith situation. Remember Zadarius hurt his back. Oh, couldn't play all season.
Mm-hmm.
Still got paid his high paid price tag. Didn't play all season. Then all of a sudden showed up for the playoff game, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Bakhtiari can do the same thing. I don't know if he's gonna. I hope he doesn't. I hope he's a professional and he shows up. And if he can possibly go, he can go. But if the injury becomes the excuse where he can't play because of the injury, I don't know if I can believe him on that based on his comments from this thing. If I never heard these comments, okay, then maybe I would be like, okay, maybe he is injured. Not only that, he's the only player on the Packers who has not agreed to extend the contract out in ghost years. Because he could have done that and saved more money for the Packers on the salary cap this year. But he did not agree to it. And because of that, they could only extend it to just next year. So they've moved a bunch of signing bonus over, but that's all they could do. Now, it could also be that Gutekunst doesn't want to extend him and just be done with it next year and cut him and be done.
Well,
or trade him or whatever. And that's the thing. That's the thing I would say. I think the Packers after June 1st should trade him. I think they should trade him. And I got some other things I'm going to talk about with Aaron Rodgers too. But these are just things I'm hearing. I don't know I don't know if you think, like I said, you think he could possibly use that injury as an excuse if he doesn't have belief in his team? Or I don't know. It's just weird.
I don't know if he would do that, but I do think you're not going to get his best effort. He's not going to show a lot of commitment. He'll probably sit out practice all week. He might play in the games if he's feeling right. If he's not feeling right, then he'll sit out, just like last year where you saw him for some games and didn't see him for others.
Or for half a game.
Yeah. And then I really do not believe, based on what I've seen from him in recent years and what I heard from him there, that I just think he's going to be like, kind of going through the motions a bit. And that's unacceptable, especially at the rate he's being paid. But it's just unacceptable in general as a professional athlete. So I agree. It sounds to me like this is also a must move. This has to be, you have to get rid of him. And I know Gutekunst was asked about him, right? And said, well, we really liked how he played last year. When he was in there, we were a different line and he played really well. And okay, he pass blocked well. Okay, fine. Wasn't the greatest run blocker. He never was. But last year his run blocking was suspect. He didn't do a hell of a lot in most running plays. If you go back and watch the tape, you'll see that. Just kind of.
And sometimes he purposely avoided guys when he could have blocked them, and he took the easy route instead of the guy he should have took. Yep,
100%. And so let's consider that as well. Let's consider David Bakhtiari, super high priced guy who clearly doesn't want to be on the team anymore because he was more loyal to Aaron Rodgers than he was to his team, and what was basically enjoying playing with Aaron Rodgers, his buddy, but not in, now that he's going to be gone, he's like, I'm not really that interested. Okay. On top of that, a good pass blocker, yes, but not ever a good run blocker. And now you need to become a more run heavy team. So is he really that big of a loss if you move him? I say no. I say move his ass. Take whatever hit you got to take. Get him off this team. Get what you can for him. And I don't care. And we'll figure it out.
They have to wait till June 1st because...
Well, yeah, but fine. I mean, I'm just saying, he should not come into this season being a part of this team. Not even the training camp. He's going to be... he's a cool guy, sort of, and all that. But is he going to be a leader? No, he's never really been a leader.
Here's what I think. Here's what I honestly think, though. I don't think there's ill will from him. I don't think he's like, oh, the Packers suck. I think it's just... Or not the Packers suck. I think he does think the Packers are going to suck. But I mean, I think it's, or he honestly believes all my guys are gone. We weren't even that good last year, and all of our starters, half our starters are gone. How possibly good can we even be? Is what I think he believes.
Hold on. That's fine, except currently you are under contract to play for this team. You can't go and say that about the team you're supposed to be playing for, where all your teammates are going to hear that crap, and then you're going to go play with them and just be like, yeah, I guess we're just going to suck this year, guys. Come on. No.
The other thing, he's the highest paid player on the team as of if Aaron Rodgers gets traded. No one makes more than him. The other thing that's interesting is the Packers aren't in a rebuild. They're in a retool.
Yep.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago. They got rid of all the dead weight. They're keeping Aaron Jones. They cut all the guys that were underperforming last year. All the things that we saw as fans, they cut all those guys. And the guys that did perform last year on one-year contracts, they brought them back for one-year contracts. That's not a rebuild. If they were doing a rebuild, they would just be like, and they were sure as hell wouldn't do a one-year contract for these guys.
Yeah, why would they care? They'd just be like, we'll just fill that in.
Take it. Yeah, we'll just throw some random undrafted guy out there at corner. Yeah. Instead of, for Nickelback, instead of Keyshawn Nixon, we'll have some random undrafted fast guy do kick returns and suck and we'll lose. If that's honestly what they were thinking, that's what they do. But no, they still want to win. They still know this team has potential, and they do. And here's the thing I want to say. Let me ask you this. I don't know. I'm not a David Bakhtiari guy. I mean, he's fine. Do you think that David Bakhtiari is the type of guy who, let's say, now, he also said in this interview he has to go for OTAs and mini camps and all this stuff. He said he's going to be there. So do you think Bakhtiari is the kind of guy where he starts going to mini camps, he starts going OTAs and all this kind of stuff, and he sees how, hey, Jordan Love is looking pretty damn good. Hey, the receivers are really improving this year. They look way better than last year. Maybe they draft a tight end this guy's pretty dang, like maybe he sees some things in OTAs and mini camps where, hey, we do have talent. And maybe we're actually going to be more explosive than last year. And he then changes his tune and buys in. You think I don't think Bakhtiari is a guy who couldn't, like, I think he honestly believes right now his guys are gone. The team is trying to tank it because he doesn't understand. He's not an evaluator of talent, obviously.
Clearly, yeah. When he got those guys in Pitch Perfect, he could have got better singers and dancers to join him there. But
right,
But
as far as a Packer, like, he's always been a fan favorite. He's always been a cool guy. Like, I don't know. I don't think he's deliberately like it just caused a big kerfuffle with every fan around here. They're all freaked out. They're like, whoa, like, what's going on with that, right? Like this whole they stuff. But do you think it's possible that if he sees some of this potential in these guys and the way the team runs maybe more soundly with a Jordan Love as opposed to with Aaron Rodgers, that maybe he could buy back in? What do you think?
I'm going to say this. Now, David Bakhtiari and I are not the same person. I get it. But generally, as I've been a part of some different organizations in my work history, okay, and I've got a commitment to put into those organizations my time and my energy, and they're paying me for my time and my energy and my ideas and all that. I was always saying we. And if I was ever saying they, like, I was to the point where I wanted the hell out.
Yeah.
So I think I don't think anyone's making too big of a deal about the words he used and the way he talked about him. I understand what you're saying, and that could be it. He thinks all of that, but it's also the way he's saying it is he has separated himself from this team. He is no longer a we guy, a team guy. I'm over here, they're over there doing the stuff that they need to do. And he said it before. I understand it's a business. We all know it's a business, and so the players have to, like, kind of do that at some point anyway. I get it, but not when you're under contract and being ready for a new season. Like, you got to be on board with this team, and he is clearly not on board with what's happened and with this team. And as a Packer fan, that's very disappointing. Not because I was a huge David Bakhtiari fan. I know, I recognized he was a very good player for them for a very long time, and did pass blocking exceptionally well, and pissed off Viking Mo exceptionally well with his holding and stuff and all that. Great. David Bakhtiari, we love that. But the guy, he's pulled back, and it was not just during the injury and feeling separated, because that can happen too, right? When you're in the injury, you're not playing, you're not, feel like you're part of the team. I can understand how all that can happen. But he was staying, the team kept him around. He was there. He was, coaching up guys, right? It felt like, even when Yash was playing left tackle a bunch last year or 2 years ago, Bakhtiari was actively involved in helping him. So where did that guy go? Is it seriously just Aaron Rodgers? So if that's it, if that's where his allegiance lies, then there is no, we're good, so now I'll try hard. I don't think so. Like, he loves him some Aaron Rodgers a little more than he loves himself some Packers. And
that's
he said not going to work.
That's what he said.
That's not going to work.
Because if he honestly believed Aaron Rodgers is as good as he thinks he is, he would care, and he would want Aaron Rodgers to be number 12 for the Green Bay Packers, as well as his friend.
And where has Aaron Rodgers led him over his career?
Nowhere.
To a bunch of playoff
losses.
Yeah. So
and a bunch of finger pointing, but he's not at him because
not at him, yes, because he's so great.
Offensive line because he doesn't.
And he bought him a golf cart, so you'll never get finger pointing for that.
I just think it's interesting. I don't know quite what to make of it.
I agree.
And part of me is kind of like, I honestly believe this. I think there's for the offense to be productive. Okay. I think the old regime must be gone.
Mm.
And the last remnants of the old regime is Dave Bakhtiari. For Jordan Love to really be the leader of this team, because there's one player on this team. We know Elton Jenkins had some issues there in Rodgers, because we saw it after plays a couple times. He was like, God dang it.
Yeah.
Just run the ball. Quit doing the freaking run pass option. Maybe got pissed in the goal line.
Yep.
Bunch of times. We saw that. Elton Jenkins is ready for the change.
Mm-hmm.
I think everybody else on the offense is ready for the change, is okay with the change. There's one guy I think who is just not feeling it or just doesn't give a crap, and that's Bakhtiari.
Mm-hmm.
And having that guy who's your oldest veteran, highest paid player, and leader on the offensive line, he's not gonna buy into this team and this new quarterback. It can only be detrimental to the entire offense. I honestly believe that. So I think he needs to be traded after June 1st. And it's sad because I think he's awesome. I always liked David Bakhtiari. He's a great Packer. He's like a cult hero. It's always awesome when you see a guy who's a 4th round pick who wasn't expected to do anything become one of the best players in the NBA, in the NFL at his position. It'd be something if he's the NBA and 4th round pick because there's only 2 rounds. That'd be really weird. But still,
NBA beer chugger. He's an all-time NBA beer chugger.
All-time NBA beer chugger. Right. Way better than Aaron Rodgers. We all know that. And so it's kind of like that one hurts. Aaron Rodgers being gone, whatever. But David Bakhtiari, that would hurt because he's pretty cool. He's like a fan favorite. He's an awesome, fun guy.
I mean, and you're right.
Can he buy in? Can he buy in? I don't know if he can, and I don't know if he does. And I think that will affect the offense.
Him stepping in as a 4th round pick. And he stepped in as a rookie when they remember, because that was they're like, oh, Brian Bulaga is going to switch over to left tackle, and Brian Bulaga ain't no left tackle.
Sucked.
So they had to adjust, and they're like, well, this 4th round rookie will stick him in there. He seems to be pretty feisty. And then, I mean, he just held it down, and missed a few games here and there, but he's super durable, very reliable. Added some weight, added some, because he was pretty light his first year. But he built up a little bit more. He really got into it. He was a staple. Yeah, he's great. Here's an interesting thought and question, something to ponder. And maybe this speaks once again, because right now the situation we're in is we have to get rid of Aaron Rodgers, which is going to be a hit. And we might have to get rid of David Bakhtiari now, which is also going to be a hit. So the big hit all in one season. So think about this. If the Packers had traded Aaron Rodgers last offseason, David Bakhtiari was in a different position at that point, right? He had been off all that time being injured, was trying to come back. He might have had a different perspective at that a year ago than he does now, looking at this team. And then he would have come in, seen how Jordan Love did or didn't do or whatever the situation was, blah, blah, blah. And maybe things would be substantially different if that one move had been made. Not just the financial ramifications, right? Because clearly, if you had a disgruntled Bakhtiari this year and Rodgers was already off the books, okay, we can deal with that. Not a big problem. But now you got big hit Aaron Rodgers and big hit David Bakhtiari potentially at the same time. Does it make you even? I mean, does that even add to the layer or the level of screw upness by this GM to not make the move last year? I don't know.
Well,
the whole front office, because it was clearly a decision they had all put together on.
This has been a screw up by the GM since the drafting of Jordan Love in the first place. I mean, good God, this whole thing
shouldn't Gutekunst. I would say let's put him in charge of the draft, but have somebody else do the other stuff. I don't know, because he seems to be pretty good at drafting and evaluating talent.
I don't know.
The other things I don't. Anyway, go ahead.
Jay Sternberger.
I mean, there's going to be some misses, man. There just is. It's the draft.
Martin, the linebacker.
Come on.
Amari. He lasted one season. He was gone. He couldn't even start. They started the undrafted free agent who they cut and signed back to the practice squad or whatever the next day just to start him and Chris Barnes over Martin.
Well, we all know Goody's biggest errors. So,
Amari Rodgers. Don't let last year's good draft cloud your mind on how crappy the drafts were before that.
Darnell Savage.
Darnell Savage. Yeah, he's not good.
But
and I got to be honest, even stuff like Rashawn Gary.
Yeah.
We didn't see any return on investment from Rashawn Gary until last year, really.
And where does that
a little bit the year before that, but not much.
So does that and I'm curious, right? Because I'm trying to think back in my mind to McCarthy coaching staff. Were rookies sitting a long time under that regime? Under Thompson as GM? I'm trying to figure out if this thing where the Packers are
not all of them
teams that for many years just wouldn't play the rookies. Until
if they were good, they played. I mean, BJ Raji played. Clay Matthews played.
Yeah.
HaHa Clinton Dix played right away. He wasn't good though, but he played right away.
Yeah,
but for every one of those guys, there was a Derek Sherrod and a Justin Harrell and a.
So they made bad choices, and then the coaching staff realized the GM
Dayton Jones,
players that weren't very good, and they're like, "Well, we can't put these guys out there."
Kenny Clark didn't play much his rookie year, because they had freaking Mike Daniels playing. Why would they?
All right, the GM's terrible. Get him out of here. Just get him out of here.
He's not terrible. I think he's gotten better. Right. I think he does have some. There's some interesting things about the draft I want to talk about later. But okay, I got another clip for you.
All
this
right,
is totally next
thing. What do you got?
Totally different subject here.
Enough of my rambling.
But it's still David Bakhtiari. Okay, it's still David Bakhtiari. I'm gonna share again. Hopefully it won't freeze on me again. But
no promises.
So what do I do? Entire screen, right? Okay. So you once I get it to the right thing, then share it. Okay, but it's not at the right thing yet, obviously. All right, go ahead and share me.
All right, we got you.
Now listen very carefully. This is very important because it's straight from the horse's mouth. Listen. You're not this guy.
Did you share audio? I
don't
hear it. Did you share audio? Because I don't hear it.
I shared audio. I shared audio. Yeah, I shared audio.
What a bunch of.
I freaking
try it again.
Audio. I shared freaking audio, dude.
Could have been my mistake. Could have been my fault.
How would it be your fault? I shared.
It's always my fault.
Share audio. Entire screen. Share. Entire screen. You got it now?
I don't have it. Anybody else got it?
It's really important that you hear this because it's a key to what I want to talk about next. And I'm really mad if it doesn't freaking work.
Let me see what I get. Try it one more time. Maybe it's just me.
How is it you? I don't understand.
I might have had the setting wrong here, and it could have been that I just couldn't hear it again for some weird reason, but let's try one.
Well, it worked the last time.
I know, but you know how life goes. You know how Hafman life goes. We have our problems. Oh, no, it's okay.
Okay, I'm not playing anything right now.
I just think this is disappointing. Was this just like this week that it came out, like a couple days ago?
Yes. Can you hear anything? What?
I don't hear it.
Okay, well, I guess we're not doing it then.
God.
Okay, well, I'll just tell you what he said. I'll tell you what he said. I'm going to listen to it.
Time that says, be a effing wolf.
I'm going to listen to it. I'm going to listen to it, and I'll tell you what he says because I don't know what's going on. So we're sharing the screen. David Bakhtiari is going to be talking in a second, and here's what he's going to say. This guy's blabbing about crap. I don't know what he's blabbing about. I don't care what he's blabbing about. I just hit something else that's really screwed it up. I don't know what. Oh, my God. What is going on?
Your internet's a little sketchy, but I can probably go find it. You tell me what he said, though. You know what he said, right? Give me the once over there. What did he say? Hey, man, this is when you do live stuff. Sometimes crazy stuff happens. What do you do? Right?
Okay, so here's what he says.
What does he say? God damn, David Bakhtiari.
He says, sometimes it's like chickens with your head cut off on the field. I don't. Okay.
Yep. Why would
He's
he say
seen
that?
Aaron. He's seen Aaron draw up backyard plays.
Mm.
He's like, this in the most pinnacle moment, really? Aaron will be like, hey, man, what do you like running? When he's talking to like a receiver. And they just make up a route right there. No route combinations. Just what do you want to run against this guy that's going to be covering you? What do you want to run against this guy that you want to be covering? Okay.
One-on-one matchup.
Then he says, next thing you know, everyone is left and it's just the line standing there. And we only got 12 seconds left on the play clock. Then he says, because, Aaron likes to frickin' get the play clock down to 1 second. He didn't like that. Which is why I really wanted to frickin' show the video. Whatever.
What time?
Look it up for yourself. It was 1:51. 1:51. Right. 1:51. Then he says, Aaron loves burning every effing second. And he says, what kind of protections do you want, dude? And whatever, just do it. Just go figure it out. Go figure it out. So you're 18-year veteran. Instead of running a play where guys can work together to get off, right? Okay, if you can share it, then share it.
Everybody's speaking the same language.
Okay, I can hear.
So that way, there's no discrepancies in the product, which is, I think, that's the best part of it. That's a lot of stuff that happens with us in the NFL and probably a lot of colleges too. Now,
dude, I think so many people think the NFL is like the pinnacle, the cream of the crop. That they have everything like done to a T. Like sometimes it's like chickens with their head cut off running around. I don't think people understand that from an organizational standpoint. There's times even on the football field, like at least for me, like I've been in a situation where like I've literally seen Aaron drop like backyard plays. I'm like, this in the most pinnacle moment where people are like, oh, this is where you go to your go-to play. Aaron will be like, hey man, like would you like running against that guy? Hey, you do that, do this, and then next thing you know, like everyone's left and like we're lying standing there. We got like probably 12 seconds on the clock because Aaron loves burning every fucking second of the game clock. And we're like, so what kind of protection you want, dude? Just I don't know, like 2 jet or something. Just like go figure it out, and then he'll like go. I'm like, hey, Jesus,
2 jets, nice to hear, but 3 jet,
it's money, and I'll take that any day. But like, I'm looking at this too, and going back to these facilities, I'm like,
okay, that's it.
The first thing I'm thinking about for all these guys coming in the league.
So they're talking about the facilities in college and how they were way better than the NFL, and Bakhtiari was trying to express how sometimes even in the NFL the facilities aren't the best, and in this case, he said even on the field things are not organized. Especially when your quarterback is number 12, Aaron Rodgers.
For professional football. Okay, that's good to know.
And it's great to hear it from him right there. And he didn't mean to point out all the things that we have been saying for 3.5 years on this show, but he just did. Aaron Rodgers is just asking, what do you want to run against that guy? What do you want to run against that guy? And then when it comes to protection, which has been our biggest problem in the playoffs against Tampa Bay, against the 49ers, that was our problem, right? Protection. And apparently Rodgers is just like, I don't know, 2 jet, whatever that means. Do what, he knows what it means. But I mean, he tells them 2 jet, which apparently Dave Bakhtiari likes. Fine. But you're going to do the same protection every time? No matter what? And not only that, these guys are just running whatever. There's no routes, no route combinations to get guys open. It's all one-on-one matchups with no help protection. Just your 5 offensive linemen because everybody else is going out because Rodgers is telling everybody to go out in patterns. So you see, 18-year veteran doesn't understand how important protection is in a pivotal moment in a game that you need to have. You know what's more important? I don't know. Maybe only send 3 guys out, have them run a combination, route combinations to get one particular player open based on that route combination, and use max protection to protect against any possible blitz that might be coming at you, so you have enough time to get that ball to the correct guy on the play that those 3 routes work together to get that guy open for the first down on 3rd and frickin' 10 or whatever it is. But that is not the way Aaron Rodgers plays football, and it's not the way he's played over the last bunch of years. And I don't want to hear any Packer fans who think, oh, Aaron Rodgers is the greatest of all time. No. Is it possible? Yes. That Matt LaFluer will call a play and Jordan Love will call the play and run the play and and something will go wrong. It'll be a mess and it'll be a disaster. Yes, it will. But you know what's even more likely to be a disaster? when your offensive line doesn't even know what the hell they're supposed to do because you ran the play clock down to 1 second and never told them what to do on freaking pass protection. That might be a problem. And Dave Bakhtiari just told you exactly what that was. And when I heard that, because I listened to this whole stupid podcast, they talked about guys' wieners. They talked about taking showers and how Aaron Rodgers doesn't like anybody shower next to him. And Dave Bakhtiari said when he was a rookie, he was like, hey, I'm going to see what happens if I go up, because he didn't know. I'm going to see what happens if I go and get the shower next to Rodgers. So he just went and did it, and Rodgers just gave him a dirty look and told him to go away. So that was in there too. So, I mean, there's all kinds of dumb, stupid crap in this podcast, and some of it's funny and some of it's just dumb. But I listened to the whole dumb thing. But I got that little nugget right there. And I'm so glad I listened to the whole thing because I got to hear that from David Bakhtiari. Aaron Rodgers doesn't care about pass protection.
Confessions.
He also doesn't
care about the whole week of preparation, the plan from his coaches.
How much
of that? What do you guys want to do here? What do we?
And how does Matt LaFleur even still have hair? I would be pulling all my hair out if I knew. I call the play and the guy was like, "Nah, hey, what do you want to run? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do?" And then remember what it was, that last thing Aaron Rodgers said about Matt LaFleur after that last Detroit Lions game loss. He said the last 3 play calls weren't very good. Remember that? That's what he said.
I guess he didn't specify who called them, though.
That's the thing. Who called them? I can tell you this much. On first down, that was a good play call because guys were open all over the field. But what happened on the last play where Rodgers just chucked up some wounded duck and got picked off? I bet you that was a go deep, Christian Watson, on 3rd and 10 with our hopes and dreams to make the playoffs on the line.
That'll underthrow you by about 20 yards.
I just when I heard that I was floored. I was honestly floored, and I was like, "Wow, that is awesome! I can't wait to play that for my brother and for other people and see what they think." Most
people wouldn't have sat to the 150 mark, and
it was a long
mark and made it there, and also wouldn't have been alert enough if they hung in that long to actually understand what that meant and what it revealed. It's like it's totally insane. I mean, I understand. Don't get me wrong. At any single job, no matter how professional you are, no matter what the planning is, there's going to be stuff where, times where stuff goes sideways and it gets a little wacky. But I am pretty damn sure that in the NFL, on every one of those instances David Bakhtiari was just talking about, a play was actually called by the coach that should have been run, and Aaron Rodgers just went, what do you want to do here, guys? What do you want to do? When you have 35 seconds from the previous play or whatever it is, 40 seconds, or you don't have much time, right? You can't be like, oh, hey, what do you guys want to do here? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? Nobody knows what's going on. And we've seen it because that's what it freaking looked like. Nobody knew what the hell was going on. And then the Lions like standing there because they don't know whether they're pass blocking or run blocking because they don't know because nobody knows.
Well, they know they're pass blocking because it's Aaron Rodgers, but they don't know exactly. They don't know what the guy next to him is going to do.
No, 100%.
Or maybe they do, but they won't until the last second. And not only that, by the time they get their assignment on what they're supposed to block, they're running up to the line of scrimmage to get in their stance. They're not able to even look at what's in front of them until they only have like a second or two to figure out what's going on, to know who they're supposed to block and what's going to. And you wonder why guys get beat.
And on top of all of that, just consider this. This is in a stadium. Sometimes it's very loud. One guy is in the middle, and all of a sudden, and he's talking that whole time that he's running the clock down, right? He's saying stuff. He's pointing his finger. He's saying this. He's winking. He's doing whatever. So guys that, first of all, didn't know what they're supposed to be doing, then they have a limited amount of time because there's hardly any time left. And then he's saying things and giving instructions based on the information that he's processing. Well, how the hell is that getting communicated to anybody? Especially if it's in a loud stadium. How is any of that getting communicated? How does that happen? That's just like, it's mind-boggling to me. It's ridiculous. That's not professional at all. So you might as well just call it non-professional football or unprofessional football. I don't care. Call it what you want, but it ain't professional. And the guy, we've said it for a while, he makes football way too complicated. And there's another example. And that's just not even, that's making it too complicated. Relying on communication when it's hard to communicate in environments it's hard to communicate. And it's just plain stupid. Stupid.
And I don't want anybody to say, well, that could be at the end of the game where the game's on the line and they got to get going and get the ball into play and, they're behind, whatever. And they got to get going. And Rodgers just has to, it's like, 2-minute offense. It's not 2-minute offense. Bakhtiari just said the play clock's down to 12 seconds or less.
Runs it
before he finally gets. Yeah. That means that this is not in a 2-minute offense situation because Rodgers is running the play clock down to 1 second. This is a normal situation, and he's just freaking taking over the game from the coach and doing whatever the hell he wants and not even telling his teammates what to do half the time. We're understanding that the reason why a certain blocking, like a play is designed for a specific blocking, like if an offensive line is supposed to block a certain way, it's because that play is designed to get the ball out by a certain amount of time, right? The read would be 1, 2, 3, get the ball out. And the offensive line knows that. And they've practiced that since freaking April. When they get together, they're getting together on the 17th, starting on Monday. They're going to be starting to get together to start practice, right? Mini camps. Since that time, they've already been working on what the protection means on plays, because I'm sure they get, the quarterback has to talk about, I'm sure it's like, 2 jet wide, blah, 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 blah. He says all this crap. And then they know, this is for that. That's for the receiver. That's for the tight end. This is for the protection, whatever. And it's designed to work with the route combinations that are going on with the receivers and all that. But when you just throw crap out there by the seat of your pants and wait for a guy to maybe get open because you ran against whatever route, and this guy ran whatever route, and this guy ran whatever route, how did the offensive lineman know what the hell to do? Or even how long did they block until? It just makes it just
and it also
crazy.
maybe that also lends or shows you or explains a little bit, pulls a little curtain back on why Aaron Rodgers was so bad at doing anticipation throws and wouldn't do them.
There aren't any anticipation throws.
I know.
Because he's waiting for the guy to get open.
He's waiting to see what he's going to do.
Yeah. There's no play. How does Matt LaFluer not pull all of his hair out of his head?
That just it makes me even more uneasy about Matt LaFleur as a head coach.
I know.
I mean, how does he sit? How does he sit by this long and let all that happen? I mean, I get McCarthy because McCarthy was just kind of like coasting at that point and was like, whatever. I won my Super Bowl. I'm just hanging in here as long as I can. I'll yell at Aaron once in a while. He'll be a jackass to me. Fine. But like Matt LaFleur, man, this was your first gig at it, your first crack at this thing. And I know you won a lot of games early on. And I understand how that's tempting to just be like, well, if I just sit back, we'll win a lot of games and my job's secure and I'll get a second contract and I'll make more money for my family and I'll.
And that's what he talked about when they asked him at the coaches meetings, right? About Aaron Rodgers. He didn't talk about anything. He said he gave a lot of us second contracts and he kept a lot of us employed and we appreciate that's or not made. That's, I'm paraphrasing what he said, but that's really the first thing he said about it.
Right.
He's got a lot of coaching to do this year that he hasn't had to do yet. Not since 2019, maybe a little bit. So I hope that God, those guys are working on it because
better step up to the plate. All right, what else you got for tonight? You said you had some other stuff.
I want to talk about the trade, the Rodgers trade.
Oh yeah.
What is your opinion on this? Now,
I need it to happen. I need it to happen so that I can go to my clip from like 2 months ago when I said that Aaron Rodgers is going to go to the 49ers when it happens, and I can just plug that out and be like, and just put out in the world, and then we'll blow up. Anyway, we'll see what do you got.
So what happened is now there's been reports coming out that apparently the Packers and the Jets did have a tentative trade agreement made. And the Jets just wanted to talk to Rodgers about it first. And that's why they went all the way to California, all freaking 5 guys, the owner and the GM and the president and the head coach and the offensive coordinator all went to sit down and talk with him. And then when they came back from talking with him, then they decided, oh, you know what? We need some kind of assurances that if he doesn't play beyond 1 year, that you're going to get something back to us. Because no. So they actually had some sort of a deal done. And then when Rodgers said he was 90% retired before he went into his thing on Pat McAfee's show, that made Woody Johnson, the owner of the Jets, even more freaked out. And he told them, nope, can't do it.
Which makes sense. That all makes sense.
So that's all what we've heard. So here's my question to you and to everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it is a better deal, okay, to make the trade before this coming up draft and get whatever you can, or just say, you know what, screw it, we'll wait until after June 1st, and that way we'll spread out the contract or the cap hit between 2 years. It'll save us $25 million on this contract, which we can then use to trade David Bakhtiari, and then take some of that hit to this year and next year after June 1st. And you'd have even more cap space. Then you could sign Rashawn Gary to an extension and front load the contract, taking the hit on this season instead of pushing it to the future like everybody else's contracts are going to be, like Aaron Jones and Preston Smith and all these, and Kenny Clark and all these other guys who have crazy, insane contract cap hits coming up. And I was just thinking about that after all this stuff happened. It's not the Packers who are holding up the trade. It's the Jets who are trying to give up less or try to get something back in return or whatever it is. And if I was the Packers, like, okay, you know what? This is my thinking. Let's not make the trade before the draft. Let's let the Jets draft all the things they can so they have the best possible team they can have, right? And then we'll put a condition in the contract, okay, or in the trade after June 1st that next year we'll get a 1 if they make the playoffs, okay, or whatever, which would be a low round 1, right? But we know if they use their asset and then we take their assets in the future, let them use their assets now to make their team better so they feel good. But we'll try to get assets from the future by waiting until after the draft and get draft picks. And I know we don't know where that's going to lie, right? We don't know. But we make it conditional on whatever. You know, it'll be a second round pick if Rodgers gets hurt, doesn't even play or whatever, you know, and then it's a first round pick if they, you know, make it to the playoffs or whatever and all that kind of crap. And then we'll get something else like a first rounder and a third rounder. Or you know what I'm saying? But let the Jets have as much as they can so that they feel comfortable and they can agree with this trade because they're taking all their stuff. I don't know. What do you think? It'll save them cap space. And then also, to be honest, this draft is not that great. There's not a lot of like superstar players.
Mm-hmm.
So even like the 13th pick, okay, like it's not much different between the 13th pick and like the freaking 40th pick. It's weird. Like all the players are all fairly okay. They're all like second round talent. It's weird. Or they have some kind of flaw. Like even Jackson Smith and Jigba. He's not very big. He's only 6 feet tall. He's not very fast. He's got agility and quickness and he can get open and he can catch really well and he can block pretty good. All that kind of stuff, right? But he's not like he's not really like if he came out in the draft last year, he probably would be drafted after Christian Watson. Because Christian Watson's talent and like just raw athletic ability would trump his Jackson Smith and Jigba's, you know, route running and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But
sure.
So I don't know. I just thought about that. I was like, you know, what good do the like if they're only going to give us a second round pick or some crap like that this year, anyways? Like screw it. Just wait.
That's why we're not in charge. Because look at, I mean, a lot of people, you know, that come on here and they're like, hey, just want to get this over already. The Jets could draft a quarterback in the draft.
I understand.
You know, this is a comment I want to get back to here. You know, let's go already. You know, stuff like that happens, right? One thing JJ says is the Jets reneged. Well, did they? Or was it?
That's what they're saying.
Actually, I mean, what? So remember when this all first happened, and it was reported that the Packers allowed the Jets to go talk to Rodgers, and everybody's like, "Oh my God!" Well, they wouldn't do that unless they already had something figured out. And then all of a sudden, it wasn't happening, and people were like, "Wow, this is just bizarre." I mean, if you're going to make that step where you let the team go talk, I mean, a deal is basically done at that point, right? And now it's coming that all this stuff is coming out. And what's the only thing that was different is that Aaron Rodgers made those damn comments. And Aaron Rodgers, but then after making those comments, he goes and does his long address on McAfee and says that I intend to play for the New York Jets. Right now, it's just about the compensation, and the Packers are holding it up. I mean, this is the guy. This is him. He is down to, and I said it before. We've said it forever. He's going to try to screw the Packers on the way out as much as he possibly can. Because even though he says there's no ill will and there's no hard feelings and all of these, he harbors those feelings from the second Jordan Love was drafted. It doesn't matter if they gave him $200 million a year. He doesn't care. He's still going to be pissed.
Somebody said something really interesting this week that I heard. I can't remember who it was, so I hate to say this and not give the proper credit. But they said during the Pat McAfee appearance, even after in the whole offseason, whenever he talked about Jordan Love, he never said Jordan Love's name. He said my replacement. And he hasn't talked like that since right after Jordan Love was drafted. And the guy said, boy, Jordan Love has taken up a lot of real estate in Aaron Rodgers' head for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
Rodgers has been worried. And he knows it. And he knows it now more than ever. Now, I don't know if Jordan Love's going to be any good or not. Who knows? But apparently, this has definitely affected Rodgers because he's going back to calling him his replacement again.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like a big whiny baby. Shut up.
Shut up. He as much as he tries to play the Zen cool bullshit, it is all bullshit with the guy. Bullshit. He is so pissed and he petty. He is so petty. Yes. Oh my God. He is one of the most petty, retaliatory, ass covering human beings of all time. That's why he always points the finger. That's why he never accepts blame. That's all of this. So it's him. This is who the guy is. The Packers finally had enough. They wanted to be done with it. And even on the way out, he's like, fine, I'll be on the way out, but I'm going to kind of try to screw you guys as much as I can. And that is what he did with his words. Because when we even talked about it, right? Right after he said it, we did the show and I was at Mom and Dad's and you were in Minnesota and we did the show.
Yep.
And heard his comments about 90% retired. Like, there's no way if he was 90% retired that he was going to come back and all of a sudden like, yeah, now I'm playing. No, that doesn't happen. If he was effing 90% retired, he's going to retire. That's it. So that was all BS that he said just to scare off the Jets to screw the effing Packers. And if you think there's any other reason why he publicly said that, then you're not paying attention. This is Aaron Rodgers. He likes to play freaking games with everything, and he likes to manipulate everybody else. And that is what he's proven over his time. And sometimes he says really nice shit. But guess what? That's him manipulating you there too. He's always manipulating. That's what he does. And he's a freaking head case. I want him off the team. Get him the hell out of here. I don't care what you trade him for. I don't care what team he goes on to.
Okay.
Just get it done. But that's why we're not in charge, because we're fans and we say, like, get this over with. And the Packers are being smart. They're like, you know what? We're going to make this the best for us. We're going to make this the best. And that's what Goody said. We got to do what's best for the Green Bay Packers. And maybe what you're saying at this point is what's best for the Green Bay Packers. Wait until after June 1st. Spread the cap hit. Still get rid of them because you're not going to get that much anyway. And maybe do like you said. Who cares about this year's draft? Get some future assets. That's fine. And when you look at the talent in this year's draft, it all adds up, makes sense too. Because everybody's been saying, oh, this has to be done by the draft. This has to be done by the draft because what else are they going to do? Oh my God. Well,
it doesn't have to be done.
No. And this whole time, everybody's been painting the Jets as the victim because the Packers won't make the Aaron Rodgers the victim, blah, blah. All the mean old Packers are holding this stuff up. And even Zero put it in there before. So everybody on planet Earth knows the Packers are holding this
wrong,
up
Zero.
For spite. And that is bullshit. Aaron Rodgers is sabotaging this crap. And the Jets were scared off, sort of. But they're like, well if we can get him cheap, we'll take him. Right? If we can get him give it up too much, we'll take him. Yeah.
The other thing is Rodgers told the Jets, I'm not going to be there for OTAs and all that. So it doesn't pay to trade. You just take your time because I'm not showing up. I'm not showing up till training camp.
100%.
Heads up, bro.
So they're building credibility with him too by playing these games and backing off. And it's all Rodgers manipulation. And if you don't think that's true, if you think that's us being biased against Rodgers, then you haven't been paying attention for the last 3 or 4 years. And probably when you go back and look at him over the history, there's been a lot more of this crap than just 3 or 4 years.
So I just think it's, whatever. Like, don't even, if
Brandy's
if you had, if you had an agreement and then, the Jets are like, nah, we don't want to give you that much. You sit and wait. You make them squirm. If they want to trade 2 first-round picks for Lamar Jackson, let them do it. And then make Rodgers rot. And if they want to draft a quarterback, somebody's saying he's going to draft a quarterback in the draft. Why would? Okay, so they're going to have a rookie quarterback at what, after 13? What are they going to get? That Hooker kid? And then they're going to have Tim Boyle and Zach Wilson and some other random rookie. They're going to be, their whole season's going to be down the tubes. It's not going to happen. I just say, wait it out. Wait till after June 1st. If it doesn't happen before, it doesn't happen before the draft. It's Packer fans. It ain't happening until after June 1st because there is no benefit to doing it before June 1st at that point. Just screw it. Now, some people are like, well, the OTAs are scheduled for May. What if Aaron Rodgers just shows up for Packer OTAs because he's currently a Packer contract? It's like Aaron Rodgers. I'm sure the Packers will contact him and be like, don't come. And he'll be like, fine, because I don't want to come because I don't want to be anywhere. And if he does come, fine. Have him stay over there on the sideline and do nothing. That's fine.
Yeah, and have like the media surround him after and let's hear his bullshit comments and stuff. It'd be great.
I don't want to hear any of that, but
no, I don't either.
So anyway,
actually,
so that's
be hilarious if they wouldn't talk to. Well, they'll talk to him because it's a big story, but whatever.
So I also want to get into some trade stuff. Unless you want, are you okay? Are we done with the Loves or the Rodgers? You want to talk about Love now, or what do you want to do?
I mean, I don't know the rest of the trade stuff. I just appreciate people's comments, and I love Brandy's.
Let's do some comments.
Yep. I've been flashing, but I love Brandy's the best. I love sitting back quietly. I respect that. Yeah.
Jordan, what else can you say? What else can he do? I just hope that the team and his teammates are really supporting him. Like I'll keep it up with him and being like, you know what, we got your back. Obviously, Dave Bakhtiari doesn't because he believes that they're going to suck. So he's probably not supporting Jordan Love.
Get his ass out of here then.
Aaron Jones does. All those other guys, Elton Jenkins, the guys on the tailgate tour this week, they're supporting Jordan Love. So that's awesome.
Yeah.
I heard Buda Baker might be up for trade. I mean, we could use help at strong safety. That might not be too bad.
Whatever keeps folks off the field, I'm for it.
Well, if he could trade them back, Savage, we'll trade Savage for Buda Baker. Sure, that will do.
You got to make it like some of those NBA trades where you throw in some trash just to get it off your team and stuff. I love that. Those are good.
Yeah, we'll do that. But I kind of want to get into the trade talk. Just
all right. What is
mostly? So I've been doing. I did like 57 mock drafts yesterday, or something like that. It was crazy. I just kept doing them and doing them.
I wish I had time like you. I have been going.
Well, it's not time. I'm just doing it on my phone while I'm just like watching TV. I'm watching TV.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're watching TV.
Yeah, it's not like I'm doing. Whatever.
I thought you're doing
just. I'm multitasking here.
Well, you do. Okay, I wish I could do that.
No, at work, I spent 3 hours listening to Dave Bakhtiari on the bus with the boys at work. But anyways, but what I was going to say is this.
I'm going to have one more beer and then you'll be even funnier.
Oh, okay. Well, the draft is coming up, right? And a lot of people like this lately. What's that guy I can't stand? You said that you think is okay. Really annoying guy. Peter Bukowski.
Peter Bukowski, man. Why you got
he's yeah, I don't.
Kind of sucks, but what? I mean, give him a break. He's trying. He doesn't know jack shit about the Packers.
He doesn't. He's worse when he talks about the Bucks. But anyways,
tonight. I'm sorry.
Okay, so, but he put his last episode or one of the last two. He talked about different combinations of wide receivers and tight ends, and which I didn't quite understand because they didn't make any sense in some of them, but some of them do. And I was thinking about what does the Packers offense need at this point to help them, right? We're looking at some sort of first down machine, right? Like when it's 3rd and 5, we need to get the first down. We need a guy we can count on to get that first down, right? So we need some sort of route runner or big target has agility that can get open. somewhere in there. Okay. So we need a player for that. And then we also need an inline tight end starter who has the ability to run block, help in pass protection if needed, and then sneak out and get a couple nice targets and then make something happen with it after, right? Those are the two things we really need on offense. And then maybe offensive line. Obviously, we can always do offensive line. They always draft offensive linemen. But
let me pause you 1 second right there. I'm gonna press pause. If those are your big needs, that is not a rebuild, David Bakhtiari. I'm sorry.
I know.
That's not a rebuild. I mean, you have Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon back. You've got the core of your line back. You've got young, exciting wide receivers back. Like, that's not a rebuild. And your defense is basically all intact with a whole bunch of high picks and high-priced players. That is not a rebuild. So I can't believe he said what he said. They're going to suck, and
I told you, though. We talked about at the start of the show.
I'm losing my mind. Okay.
He's lost all of his buddies. He just watched five guys from the offense be gone. Rodgers, Big Dog, Cobb, Lazard, Tunyon, all gone. Five starters gone. 5 key members of the offense gone. That's what he just saw. So I understand Bakhtiari's thought process of it as a rebuild in his eyes. He's not a talent evaluator. He doesn't understand that all these young guys actually are better than what the old guys are, and that's the reason why they're gone. And hopefully these young guys can get into play.
All right, go back to your stuff. I'm sorry.
But what I want to talk about is this. If you take a look at the two type of players that we need, right? We need some sort of third down, or first down target to get a first down. So you're looking at like a slot receiver or a move tight end, right? A guy who can, with pretty good speed and can get into the open field and run good routes. That's really the same guy, right? We don't need 2 guys who can do that. We don't need a tight end, an inline tight, or a move tight end and a slot receiver. We don't need both. We need one of the combination of one of the 2. And then we need some sort of big tight end, right? Who can block and run block and that sort of stuff. So if you look at it that way, and you look at where the Packers are drafting, I think we could find a good combination of starting caliber players at the 15 and at 45 or whatever the 2, I think it's 45, right? The next pick they have. So at 15, Jackson Smith-Njigba, if he's there, boom, you steal him, take him and go. If he's not there, then you take Kincaid, because Kincaid is going to be like your Robert Tunyon move tight end type guy, where he's going to, but he's better than Tunyon. And he's a starter right now who can fill that role as a first down getting machine, right? Or a guy who can get open, a good target for your quarterback to look for when you need a first down. Okay, that could be that. As far as high quality, you're looking at Jackson Smith-Njigba and Dalton Kincaid are kind of the same role on this Matt LaFleur offense. They're not the same player in the same position, but they're the same role that we need. We don't have, right? We don't quite have that guy, and we never did. I mean, Randall Cobb was it last year, and he was low on the totem pole as far as how good he is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, when it comes to inline tight ends, like I talked about Sam Laporta, he's not an inline tight end. I changed my mind again. So we do need a guy who can play inline. You're looking at Meyer, or whatever his name is. Meyer, I think, right? Washington.
Yeah, he's on here. John Mayer, right?
Not John Mayer, no.
Oh, okay, never mind. All right.
Michael Mayer, Michael Meyer. I can't remember his name.
His cousin, yeah, I get it.
And then
I got it.
Who's the other guy? Kraft or something, right? Or Krooft.
But Walker, man, isn't that good? The guy?
I said Walker already.
Oh, you did.
Washington, not Walker. Washington.
I'm sorry.
You are drunk right now, aren't you? Okay.
Anyways, to the fact be it's a pink boots blend. See that?
Okay, you're definitely drunk because you're just saying weird crap. It makes no sense. What I'm saying is this: there's another tight end. I can't remember his freaking name. I like Kuntz too, but Kuntz is more tall, and I don't know if he's a bunch of a blocker. But I want
Washington. I don't care. The guy's got way more upside than all those. He could be a stud.
Well,
the other guys are going to be fine. This guy could be a stud.
What I'm saying is this: not all tight ends are equal. Okay.
Clearly.
And Dalton Kincaid, Sam Laporta, Musgrave, Kuntz from Old Dominion, they are receiving tight ends. Now, Kuntz from Old Dominion is super fast, but he's super tall, and he doesn't have much agility. He's not even close to being as agile as Sam Laporta or Dalton Kincaid. Now, Kincaid's got a couple inches and more weight than Sam LaPorta has, so he could even maybe grow into an inline tight end type position. But what I'm saying is this. For everybody who thinks there's, like they're saying, there's 5 good tight ends in the draft, or there's 10 good tight ends in the draft. Yes, but there are 2 distinct roles on this team that can be filled, and there's only like 3 or 4 tight ends who can fill the inline tight end role, and only like 1 or 2 or 3 tight ends who can fill the move tight end role. Okay? So as much as there is 5, 10, 15, or however many good tight ends, there are only like a handful that actually fit each role that we need, and only 1 or 2 at the top of like the talent pool. Okay. But there's nothing wrong with us. If you look at it this way, with the first pick, hopefully either Smith and Jigba or Kincaid is there. That's your third down, get him, third down, get the first down, find your guy. He gets open. He's a, good movement guy, and he can block in the run game from the slot. And then your other guy would be your Mayer and your Washington. And what is the other guy's name? Musgrave is okay. I don't know, but Musgrave would fall under the other category, but you could get him in later rounds. Like, let's say if Kincaid and Mayer, or Kincaid and Jackson Smith and Jigba are both gone at 15, and nobody will trade back with you, then you could take Mayer or Washington at 15, which would be kind of reaching, but it's a solid role of a guy that you need. I think they need to get either Mayer or Washington. Now, both of those guys have come to the Packers on a visit already. So did Kincaid. So did Jackson Smith and Jigba. So did Sam LaPorta. All these guys have already come to Green Bay for visits. So they're going to find the guy they like the best. Shoemaker is kind of, he's more of a Kincaid, Musgrave kind of guy. So he's not a bruiser. There's a guy in like the late rounds I kind of like. What was his name? Shoot. God dang, I got to get my memory fixed.
It's time
from South Dakota State.
It is time to prioritize tight end. They haven't done it for a long time. We went over the history. We talked about this before. Went over the history. They don't have many good tight ends in the Packers' 100+ year history. Like, it's time to prioritize. You have a young quarterback, first time starting. Like, the tight end will be invaluable. Will be so important to the success of this quarterback, this offense, all of it. So I don't care. And Goody has come out and actually said, most GMs never do this. They always give you the straight line about, we're going to take the best player available. He's finally said, we're going to look for players. We have some spots we need to fill, and we're going to draft some guys at places we need to fill. And that makes sense, because you only have so many positions on a football team, and you have so many players that can be on the field, and you need to draft players that'll actually be on the field.
Okay, but what I'm saying is,
be a good tight end, please.
What I'm saying is they need a inline tight end, but they don't necessarily need the move tight end, the slot tight end. They don't necessarily need that, because they can fill that with a wide receiver like Jackson Smith and Jigba. And there's a guy, Jonathan Mingo, who looks like he's like an Alan Lazard type, but like a little bit more speed, not quite as tall, but a better player than Alan Lazard ever was. They can get him in like the 3rd, 4th round. I've been drafting him there. Greindorf, that's the guy. Noah Greindorf. I like him. He's a big guy, inline tight end. He's not gonna. Now this is a way late. Like, if you don't get the 2 studs, he's the guy you can get way, way later to be just your inline tight end who's gonna beef up and smack some guys around and that kind of stuff, and then sneak out.
And you maybe, like you said before, maybe you draft 2 tight ends in this draft because you need them.
This
is going to be a crazy draft, and people are going to flip out, dude. You know why? Because the Packers are going to
1 and 2
between wide receivers and tight ends. They're going to draft more of those than they've ever drafted in a single year. Immediately after they get rid of Aaron Rodgers, and everybody's going to be like, "Oh, poor Rodgers! They never drafted anybody for him." And then he leaves, and they draft all these receivers and weapons.
Well, they have to.
They need to. Because they only have 5 wide receivers on the roster right now, right? It's only 5 on the whole team.
A.T. Perry, he's pretty good. and that's the thing. It's like there's receivers.
A sneaky one in there, but we'll see.
Well, Bo Melton's already good. But what I'm saying is, they have guys, the tight end that everybody's talking about, right? The Dalton Kincaid, the Musgraves, the Sam Laporta. These guys their role can be filled by a slot receiver. But what's definitely needed is an inline tight end, the Washington, the Mayer, the Noah Gindorf in late rounds. And 100%. The other guy, what is the other guy's name? God, it's pissing me off. I can't remember his name. He's from North Dakota State or South Dakota State, or I don't know which one he's from. The guy from South Dakota State. Noah Gindorf is from North Dakota State. So he played with Christian Watson last year. The other guy from South Dakota State is the guy I'm thinking of, Tucker Kraft. That's his name. He's like third round, second round, late second, early third. Big guy, solid, good run blocker. You know what I'm saying? He's like, he'd fall into that category with Mayer and Washington and this Gindorf guy. But Gindorf's like 7th round pick. Like he's way, like you can get him in 7th round.
And you need that too, because you're gonna
you need that first.
Right. Well,
not maybe not first in the draft, but I mean that is more important, if you ask me, than a slot receiver or a move tight end, because the move tight end and a slot receiver position can be filled by other guys. We have nothing. We have nothing at inline tight end. We have nobody. Tyler Davis is not the answer.
No. And we saw
not the answer.
If you go back and look at sets, and let's think about short yardage and how much the Packers struggled in short yardage, right?
Oh, terrible.
So they would bring in Mercedes Lewis. And then Robert Tonyan would also be in, or Davis would also be in as basically they'd be in like a kind of a wing set just behind the other tight end, or they'd be opposite side of the formation blocking, and they'd be a key blocker on short yardage run plays sometimes. And those guys block like garbage. So right now you need to get the stud blocking tight end, and you got to get just the bruiser blocker tight end. You don't care what else he does, because you need to have two to pull off some of those short yardage sets and be better and allow your running backs a chance to actually get the first down. So you're right. Like, I don't care which one happens. Like, you can pick one up later, one of those blocking guys that people kind of cast off because they're not much of a receiver. So what? You don't need it. But you got to get two guys that can actually block from the tight end spot. And if you put that together, like, I'm really intrigued by this whole upcoming season is really going to be awesome. It's going to be really super interesting, because some of the things that we saw, we're really curious to see if the Packers are going to run position groupings where DeGuara is on the field a bunch more. And if you have, because that guy's just a player, like, he's not very big, he's not flashy in any way, but he's just a really solid football player.
He's like Micah Hyde.
Yeah, and he does the right thing. So if you have him out there doing the right thing, and you use him more in all the roles and all the things he can do as a lead blocker and doing other things and catching screen passes and all that, and then you have you have other tight ends that are bigger on the line that can help block and seal. I mean, this running game could really take off. I mean, it could be awesome. It could be so great. So I really want, I think that this is lining up wonderfully for the Packers, that there's so many tight end options in this draft. It's a position of need, but it's also a position that they will put on the field, and they should put on the field, right? And they won't have a quarterback that's like, I want more of these guys out there. I want more of this set. I want more. Like, that's the other part to me. Matt LaFleur is going to create a plan. The coaching staff is going to create a plan. Is Jordan Love going to be like, I don't like that. Give me some of this stuff. I don't want that. Throw that out. Get rid of that. Is he going to do all that crap? Probably not. So you're going to get to see what Matt LaFleur's plan will be, and maybe it will be a lot of 3 tight end usage, which would be fantastic. So grab a bunch of them. I don't care. It's going to be, I'm really excited about it. I think it's going to be great.
JJ is talking about trading back, and I agree. I've every mock draft I've done, if Jackson Smith and Jigba doesn't fall there, I trade back every time. And I get more picks, and I end up getting a center. Sometimes I end up getting the Minnesota center to get rid of frickin' Meyer, because he's the other weak link on the offense, the only weak link on the offensive line, in my opinion. Get rid of him. You draft this new guy, play him at center, we're good to go.
Maybe Meyer, or maybe Josh Myers could be a decent guard. Maybe there's a way.
Well, you can't play center,
right?
I heard some guys talk. Well, who was it? It was the PFF Stock Exchange guys. They have their own podcast, and today they were talking about centers, and they're like, "What makes a good center?" And they were like, the ability to bend, the ability to get off quick, the ability to read things and help other guys and all this kind of stuff. And bend your knees and don't fall to the ground and move in space and get to the next level. And I'm like, none of those things are Josh Myers. Not a single one of them. He doesn't get to the next level. He doesn't bend his knees. He doesn't freaking get low. He doesn't none of those things. He's a bruiser who, if he can get his hands on you, then fine. But if he has to move, he can't get to the second level. He can't find a guy in space to block. He only can block when he's getting close. And then he gets his butt kicked half the time. And then if he falls on the ground, it takes him a half an hour to get back up again because he looks like a grandpa.
And it's
ridiculous.
Pass sets, he's just not as aware of what's going on as you need to be.
But man, he looks really good in practice. Remember we watched him practice? He is so smooth in his drills.
The one-on-one drills where it's
when there's nobody there, when there's nobody block in front of him, and he just does his one little drill. It's perfect. He was the most perfect of anybody. Exactly perfect every time.
You know what I guarantee you?
In the game, he can't do that.
I guarantee you, Lucas Patrick did not look that good in all those drills. I guarantee you that.
There's a guy you're going to love. I can't remember his name. Avi or something like that. There's a guard in this draft. I heard the guys from Stock Exchange talking today. They said they just loved watching tape on how many times when after the ball snapped and the guy didn't have anything to block, how many times he would go and help his teammates. He's like, it was more fun to watch him help his teammates get blocks. He's always looking to help. Even if the guy in front of him, end up vacating his spot, went somewhere else or whatever happened, or they pulled back and then they blitzed on the other side or whatever. And whoever this guy is, he did a great job of helping his teammates. I can't remember what his name was. I got to find it again so I can tell you, but it's a guy you'd love because I was like, oh, there's Lukey Patrick right there. Mm-hmm. Super awareness. It's awesome. Okay.
I'm hoping, he got such a raw deal last year. I'm hoping he gets a chance to have like a full season this year and play.
It sounds like the Bears are going to draft offensive linemen and their whole offensive line.
I'm sure
they're
going
to be a little different this year, and I think Lukey's going to be out.
But you know what?
On the
He's overcome odds, plenty of odds in his life. He might do it again. Anyway, I wish him best of luck.
So I got one more draft thing to talk about today a couple days ago, or maybe it was today. I listened to something on PFF about this.
Hold on, Brittany's more concerned with our run defense here. Or Brandy, she's more concerned with our run defense. How do you feel about that? Let's before you go to the next part. How are we feeling about the run defense, everybody? Brandy brings it up as a concern. It's historically in the last 20 years, it's always been a concern, but they've been better at times. I gotta say, I don't know. You expect Devontae Wyatt. Everybody's now pumping him up and talking about him. Okay. You talk about, yes, we lost Jaron Reed, but Quay Walker was a good cleanup piece. He cleaned a lot of crap up. You still got to have good defensive line play.
Yeah, well, they're still going to get 4 or 5 yards of carry if Quay Walker is the guy making the tackle.
I know. So do we have enough guys now?
No,
that we feel like our rotation could be good enough.
No, because you're only as good as your weakest link. And if the opposing team knows, okay, I'm going to bring it up again.
All right, bring it up.
Just like in the Super Bowl against the Denver Broncos in 1997-98 season.
That hurts.
Gabe Wilkins got hurt in the second quarter.
Yeah.
And who came in?
Darius Holland.
Darius freaking Fat Boy. Darius Fat Boy came in.
Should have been an omen. Should never signed Zadarius when Darius was so bad earlier for the Packers. Oh, terrible decision. Okay, never mind.
The Broncos ran the ball
right at him.
Off left tackle the whole rest of the game, and we couldn't stop it. Because who was over there? Darius Fat Boy and Gilbert. Now, Gilbert's awesome within a 5-yard radius of himself. He was immovable, and he was amazing, right? But part of the reason why he was so good at doing that was because during that season anyway, he had Gabe Wilkins on the other side who was quick enough to get off blocks, and he would penetrate, and then Gilbert would just suck up everybody, and it was awesome, right? And then, of course, he had Santana on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have a weak link, the opposing team will know, and they will attack it. And the Packers at this point on run defense, if Savage is in the game, that's a weak link.
Wait a minet, though. The Packers don't do that. They don't attack the weak link a lot of times, do they?
No, they're dumb. They don't do anything. They don't understand.
They don't even know who's on the field.
Matt LaFluer doesn't even know who's on the field. They don't even know what they're doing. That's why. Well, but I don't know. Is that Matt LaFleur? Or is that Aaron Rodgers with his? Hey, what do you want to run? Hey, what do you want to run? What pass protection? Whatever. Just whatever. No. Maybe now when they're actually calling plays, and then the team's going to actually run the play, and Jordan Love's going to actually like run the play. Maybe they will actually study the opponent and find their weakness and attack the weakness and pinpoint on a certain thing and go after it. But as far as that goes with the Packers this year, Kenny Clark is not a lateral mover. He's not a penetrator. He's weak in pass rush. He's weak in run defense, period. When you have a radius of 3 yards that you are defending, and that's all you can do, because he does not pursue. He has no pursue speed. He has no lateral agility, no lateral movement, and he has no penetration. He is the most overrated player I have ever heard anybody talk about on the Packers in the history of all time. Kenny Clark. Not good.
That's because you watch too much Andy Herman, and Andy Herman thinks he's like
Listen, every now and again he can go against a bad player and then like just school him and get in the backfield, right?
Yep.
But does he ever make the sack after that? Like remember Mo? Mo was on and Mo's like, I've watched. He destroys Bradbury, and I'm like, okay, did he make a tackle after he destroyed Bradbury? Did he make the tackle? Did he get penetration on Kirk Cousins? And he's like, well, no. I'm like, okay. Yeah, he gets past the first guy, but he's so slow he doesn't do anything after that. And it's the same thing in run defense with him.
Yeah.
And Devontae Wyatt is a penetrating player. He's not a stick and throw off your block and then make the tackle. That's not what he does. He penetrates and attacks. So you have a penetrating attacker with a guy who can't get any movement at all. All that leaves is giant gaping holes. And then you have your linebackers, one of them, who's Campbell, who is iffy, and Quay Walker, who's young. But sometimes you could do it. If it was Chris Barnes in there, Chris Barnes is a little bit better. Actually, the best is McDuffie. McDuffie does a good job of run defense and finding the hole and getting in there. And right, and Preston Smith is too slow. He doesn't set the edge very well. He sets the edge. He set the edge better than Zadarius Smith by a mile. But that's besides the point. Zadarius had no awareness. But there are a lot of issues with the run defense, and this is the defense we're going to see. It's the same defense. I mean, unless they do something drastic, I can't see anything in the draft unless they take Brian Brzee, who I don't think he's that great against the run, to be honest with you. Or now, Kalijah Kancey's supposed to be good against the run, and that's great against college. But how good is it when you're going up against 330-pound offensive linemen every week when you're only 288 pounds and 6 feet tall? He's not Mike Daniels. Mike Daniels could sit and just, take on two guys and so that other guys can make the play. Kalijah Kancey can't do that. So if they draft Kalijah Kancey, I mean, he's a penetrator. He's just like
just let everybody penetrate. And
okay, but Kenny Clark can't do that, so it doesn't work. You understand? They don't have it doesn't make any what they do makes no who they drafted makes no sense. They have a guy who can't penetrate next to a guy who only wants to penetrate. Then when you had like Zadarius and Preston, all Zadarius wants to do is get around the edge, get back there. Doesn't care where the ball is, just go to the quarterback. No awareness whatsoever. Randy, unfortunately, this defense is not going to be any better. It doesn't matter who they draft. It doesn't matter what they do, because the guys that they think are good aren't. The guys that they think are going to make a difference don't. Now, if Rudy Ford's in there, he can come in. He'll attack the run, but the running back's already going to be getting 4 or 5 yards at that point. That doesn't help us. So I don't think it's any better. As long as Kenny Clark is the center of this defense, the run defense will not be good. Also, our corners, especially Jair, doesn't want anything to do with the running game. And there's games last year where the opposing team is like, you know what? Where's Jair? He's over there. Okay, we're going to run that way. We're running right off left tackle, straight at him. And if they put Jair in the slot, they're going to be stopping anything in the run. Because Jair, after he got hurt, he want no part of tackling anybody anymore.
No. So now we talked about how when Kenny Clark was not on the nose, he was better. Okay.
Well, that's because he wasn't. Because when he's on the nose, he has
to go against garbage guards and stuff sometimes.
Well, not only that, but when he's playing nose, he has to be able to adjust both sides, which he cannot do. Right. But if he's playing defensive end, right, in a 3-4, which
so can we play some more 3-4 instead of the 4-man fronts with 2 down and 2 edge?
That would be great. And not only that, but a lot of times they did really well when they put Kenny Clark on defensive end all by himself. and then they would put 3 pass rushers or 3 smaller guys all hanging out over here, and they would do all kinds of crazy stuff, and then Kenny Clark would just sit there, and people would be worried about Kenny Clark. So both the tackle and the guard would go block Kenny Clark, and then there'd be 3 guys having to try to block these other 3 guys, and they do like stunts and get penetration and stop the run and stop the pass. It was beautiful. That was Mike Pettin who did that, though. That was 2 full years ago with a total different defensive coordinator,
really?
a whole different team. Yes, that's
I
how
remember that because they broke it out in the playoffs, and I thought it was genius. I was like,
it was great.
On obvious passing downs, this makes a lot of sense.
It was against the Rams, and it was beautiful, and they did a great job. But
against a non-mobile quarterback, obvious passing downs.
That's when it works, right? Because Kenny Clark, because if it was against a mobile quarterback, the quarterback would just be like, "Oh, I'm going to run at Kenny Clark because the guys will have him block." But it was against Jared Goff, who at that point wasn't going to run, so it worked perfectly, right? But it's not going to work against the Justin Fields out there and the guys like that. Like they're going to get schooled.
Yeah.
I mean,
I hate to get Justin Fields to throw it. Just get him to throw the ball, you'll be fine. They're running it. He's dangerous as hell.
Yeah. And at that point, then what you do is you just collapse. You work together as a team.
Yep.
And you collapse the pocket. Now, if they do that against the run too, well, maybe. But the thing that happens to them is these teams, the Packers are susceptible to 2 types of run defense problems against running teams. When they attack and like double team, Packers don't do well. They don't hold up well against a double team.
Mm-hmm.
They also don't hold up well against the flow, where everybody just moves in motion and whatever, because the linebackers can't get to the second half because the defensive linemen are getting shoved backwards because they're not good enough they don't react fast enough, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, Brandy, the run defense is going to be just as bad, if not worse. Sorry, I hate to be
the come on, don't this defense full of first-round picks and high-priced guys. Come on.
Here's the key to the run defense. Are you ready, Brandy? Here's the key. Christian Watson. Jackson Smith and Jigba if they get him. Dalton Kincaid. Any one of these tight ends. Aaron Jones. That's the key to the run defense. Jordan Love. That's the key to the run defense. Score enough points that the other team isn't going to run anymore. They're going to just pass. And then we still might be in trouble, but we have a better chance than if we keep it close and we allow them to run. So what's going to have to happen is Matt LaFleur is going to have to take training wheels off Jordan Love and just let him play. Just let him play.
I agree with that 100%.
He might throw a couple picks, but you know what? He might throw a whole bunch more touchdowns if he's just letting her wing it out and just go for it. And take advantage of it and put the pressure on the opposing defense and score some damn points and force the other team to get out of running because we are not going to be able to stop the run. I'm sorry for the bad news, but it's the truth.
I'm going to say this. As I watched the season go along last year, in general, I mean, you can pick apart plays and stuff, but in general, I thought Quay Walker was more decisive and more aggressive at attacking running plays when he saw it as the season went on. So
way more than Campbell. Devondre Campbell never attacked.
And so if you have that, like that can make a difference, right? And there were plenty of times. I mean, I know everybody's bagging on the defense in some of these games, even though the final score is like they held the team under 20 points or whatever. Like you should win that game. But there were plenty of times where the defense stopped the other team and gave the offense the ball back and gave them another chance. The offense just didn't do jack squat with those chances. So, I mean, I'm not that worried about this defense, to be honest with you. And I'm not really that worried about this. I'm excited about this upcoming season because
me too.
I don't know. The division's open. It's like, the Lions are up and coming. The Vikings are going to take a step back. The Bears are still building. I mean, they're still really kind of infants in kind of what they're trying to do there. And I don't know if it's going to work or not, but like they got a long way to go. So this division is wide open. It's not that hard to win. You win the division, you're in the playoffs. Like, I mean, come on. It's the Packers have a really good opportunity if they just play, if they get consistent and solid quarterback play, run the ball the way they should, possess the ball more because they're running it more and not having so many, 3 and outs and throwing the ball 3 times and turning it over or punting. And and that helps your defense out. So all of that comes together. So the point you just made about those guys on offense, converting the sticks, scoring points, being the defense's best friend and run defense's best friend. Yeah, it helps them out a lot. It's a team game. And now a huge weakness was not a weakness last year with the special teams and especially the return game. And you got to think that's going to be pretty good again. So it might be a little different. We can't just like with Rasul Douglas in his second year, is it going to be as good as the first year? Maybe not, but Keyshawn Nixon isn't going to stink as a returner. He's still going to be decisive and crazy and aggressive. And that's when stuff can happen. So this is going to be, man, it's going to be a fun year. The draft is interesting because you don't know the pieces they're going to add. And the Packers just draft the best player available. But I really think they have players they need to add at positions, and they're going to use the draft to do it. So, and I think
they're talking about drafting defensive end or need another pass rush defensive end. We'll get one.
And if they get a D line help early, okay, fine. Like if the other stuff doesn't fall your way and you're kind of, stuck there or whatever, and all these tight ends are kind of the same to you, and nobody
wants to trade up.
Right. Grab one of those other guys. Okay.
Beef up your trade back. You can only trade back if somebody wants to trade up, right? And if all the a lot of the talent, like I said, between 15 and like 40 is kind of all like the same level. Like who's going to trade up to get a guy when they know like, well, this talent is all about the same, It's different. So
you had one other thing on the draft, or was?
Oh, well, I was just going to say, I watched them today. It's called the S2 test or something like that, where it's based on, it's not like the Wonderlic. It's kind of like the Wonderlic, but it's more based on cognitive reaction and reaction time to things that are happening, I guess, or something. And this S2 test is something that the guys who designed it, they said that it's not like the end all be all, but it's something where if people score high on it, usually it means that they're, a little bit quicker and that sort of thing. And you want to have guys that score high on it on certain positions, like quarterback, linebacker, safety, positions where a lot of things are flying by and they have to make decisions quickly. How well are they able to recognize the problem and react and that kind of stuff? And this test tests that. The thing that's interesting about it is this. There's two cool things. Or I don't know if they're cool or not, but so apparently this company, this S2 test, they only are allowed to work with 16 out of the 32 NFL teams, 2 teams per division. So half the league does not have this information. Now, there are other tests out there that do similar things. So it might be a different company that does other things. But just this S2 test is done. They started working out of LSU like way back in 2013. And the key thing that's really cool, there's a video that if anybody's bored and they want to listen to it, I'd listen to it today at work. It's only at 45 views, which I thought was shocking because it's a big time. It's a really cool interview. So what happened is this: they do this test. Like Brock Purdy, everybody knows who Brock Purdy is, right? He apparently did very, very well on this test. And he was the last pick in the draft and came in and freaking played awesome for the 49ers, right? He's able to read things, react, and make decisions based on things that are happening. It's based on cognitive decisions before, after the snap, when things change, when things are supposed to be there, what happens when things go crazy, and all other things like that, okay? So it's for quarterbacks, it's good for everybody, but it's really good for quarterbacks, linebackers, safeties, positions like that have to really adjust on the fly to certain things that are happening around them. So they developed this at LSU. So a lot of at first there and some other a couple college programs, which is then it's spread over the years. And apparently, there's only 2 teams in the NFC North that are able to do this, and I think I know who the 2 teams are because are you ready for this? Kirk Cousins, okay, he heard about this test. And he's obviously been in the league for a long time. He never got to do this test. But Justin Jefferson took this test and scored very, very high on it. Mm. And he was talking to Justin Jefferson about it. And Justin Jefferson said that, yeah, I mean, it kind of, all the things I said. And Kirk Cousins was so interested that he contacted the company on his own and asked them if he could take the test. Just this last offseason before the season here with the new O'Connell as the new head coach.
Yeah.
And so he took the test on his own. Like he wanted to do it. And if you search on YouTube, S2 test Kirk Cousins, you will find they did a podcast with Kirk Cousins after he took the test. It only has 45 views. So any Viking fans out there should really listen to this if you like Kirk Cousins. If you don't, whatever. But he talks about some really cool information about playing quarterback. talks about the test, how it works, what it told him. And you know, we talk about Kirk Cousins all the time. How we say like, oh, when the play breaks down, he sucks. And when he took his test, he scored super high on a lot of different spots. And one of the aspects that he scored high in was his ability to react and adjust. And he said, there's so many, and he said in the interview, he's like, you know, there was times in the past where I didn't have confidence in myself. Like I knew what I was seeing, but I didn't think I would be able to do it. And now that I've taken this test and I have way more confidence. And if you watch the Vikings play this last year, Kirk Cousins had way more off-schedule plays where he made them. If you go back and watch, way more of this last year than he did in previous years. So there's evidence on the field of him doing this. And it's all because he took this test and had confidence that now the things that he saw would then lead to him doing it on the field. And because he saw it all the time, but he'd freak out and be like, oh crap, I don't know if I can do it. I don't know if I can do it. Even though he saw it and he should have just pulled the trigger. And he said that taking that test made him believe in himself more and that he would be more likely to do it. Yeah, he was throwing in more interceptions, but he also was taking more shots and making more big plays and coming back from nowhere to come back and win games. So anyways, it's a really good interview. If you have time, you want to listen to it sometime, that's that. But the other thing that's really interesting is this. The Packers were really high on Justin Jefferson. Really high. They wanted him, right? Well, it might have something to do with the fact that I think the Packers and the Vikings are the two teams that have access to this test in the NFC North. And I think the Bears and the Lions don't. And my question is, if you're one of the 16 teams that doesn't have access to this test, apparently the 49ers are as well. And I bet you the Cardinals aren't. And probably I don't know, the Rams or the Seahawks, one of the two probably don't have access to the test. There's only 2 per division. But if you're one of these teams that doesn't have access to this test, would you be pretty pissed? Because it basically judges your ability to react and adjust and see things and what, you know, all this kind of stuff, right? Like how smart you are and how aware you are and all that kind of crap. And it's not something like you're not going to draft the guy just because he's smart and he still has athletic tools. But if you have this guy with athletic tools and this guy with athletic tools and this guy scores in the 90%, this guy scores in the 30%, and basically they're the same type of guy, athletic guy, well, you take the guy who scores in the 90%, right? But every other team, like the Bears, might not have that information. So they see this guy scores and this guy, they both score at the same exact time or the same, you know, type athletic abilities. And maybe their numbers are similar. Well, they might take the wrong guy because they didn't know this guy has super high recognition and all that kind of thing. I don't know. It's interesting. It was a cool little nugget. I think if I was one of the 16 teams that didn't have this information, I'd be freaking pissed, especially now that if anybody heard this guy, and I'm sure they did because it was on a PFF podcast this week. And they're probably like, what the crap? And that's what those guys said too on the PFF show. They were like, man, if I was one of the 16 teams that didn't have this stuff, I'd be freaking calling somebody right now and be like, what the crap? Why don't we have this? Because they talked about PFF, how they started, right? Like they weren't big time like they are. Like now everybody looks at the PFF score and all this kind of stuff. And they work with all the NFL teams, all 32, and they give them the information. And because they don't have time to go over, look at all the stats and stuff, right? Well, at one time they worked with like 1 or 2 teams. And then gradually it was this more and more and more. And then to the point when they got to the point where and nobody really cared. But then when they got to the point where like 16, 17 teams they're working with, well, then the 18th team was pissed that they didn't get the information and they wanted it. And that's how they went from like 17 to all of a sudden everybody, because everybody wanted that information. They wanted to be able to get it. Now, does it make all the decisions for them? No, but it's another tool that they can use to make good decisions on drafts. So if you could tell that a guy's got good cognitive ability and good reaction time ability and reaction adjustments with his mind, that helps you weed out the guys that might be busts in the first round, right? Like, would you take a guy who scored in the 30% in the first round? I would not. I don't care what his athletic ability is. I wouldn't do it. And maybe that's how the Packers found a couple guys that we didn't, you know, Quay Walker, right? Remember, Quay Walker's Wonderlic score was really bad, but maybe his reaction time, and we've seen it on the field, he can react and read and do pretty good on the field. So maybe this is a better test for middle line, and maybe that's why the Packers drafted a middle linebacker last year. Was they're like, oh, this guy's actually got some pretty good skills that way. I don't know. Maybe I could be wrong. Maybe the Packers don't have access to this, but I would bet more than anything that the teams that are more successful over the last 5 years have had access to this test, and the ones that are stinkier than dog crap probably don't. But who knows?
Well, I did not know that before, and I would assume that Zadarius Smith would do poorly.
Oh, he'd be terrible. He'd be terrible. He would be in the 0%. 0 percentile.
I would assume Eric Stokes would do poorly on that test too, but it's just.
Well, I don't know. That disproves my theory that the Packers have the information, because then they drafted Eric Stokes.
But they get enamored by like certain the guy's super fast. Oh,
yeah, but he didn't take any other testing, so it was an incomplete freaking RAS score too. That was so dumb. Like, yeah, it was in 90th percentile,
running straight in track shoes and
which that was dumb. It was a bad pick, but whatever. Anyway, so I thought that was interesting. It's a really cool interview.
Right, Eric Stokes by the way, Bruce. But anyway, that's fine. I won't rub it in. Okay, sorry. It is interesting, and there's different things you can test for people, and I think those are all, like, it's really wild to see how that has evolved in the NFL, to the point where they have so many more different things they're measuring and ways to figure stuff out and see if guys can work out or not. It's not foolproof, but they're getting better at it. It's not as much a shot in the dark for draft picks as it used to be. There's some other indicators. Biggest thing is, in general, the Packers draft decent guys. Like, they care about the person. Right. And if they got like really bad history, like, hey, some guys got some baggage. Okay. But if they're like really problem people, they don't keep that on their team, or they don't draft those guys. And that's probably a good move.
The other thing I would think about is this. If you look at the last couple of draft picks of their last couple of drafts of the Packers, I think Amari Rodgers, not the greatest athletic scores, but I bet you he scored high on that test, because he seems pretty with it and pretty smart and pretty aware. And even on the field, he is that. He just doesn't have the tools at times,
right?
And then, or guys like Christian Watson, the Packers traded up to get him. Why do you think they were so eager to trade up and get a guy who has a lot of drop issues and he's super fast? Yeah, but he's also pretty smart. And I bet you he scored really high on that test. Zach Tom, I bet you he scored really high on that test. I bet you there's a lot of guys who the Packers have taken over the last few years that scored high on those tests that you wouldn't think. Like, how about Josiah DeGuara? Nobody thought and AJ Dillon, he's a pretty freaking smart guy too. I bet you $10. Those two guys were drafted higher than expected because they were needs at some point, and also maybe they had the access to this test and their cognitive abilities to unleash, to really react to things. And we obviously know Josiah DeGuara is really good and is aware and can pick up blockers and move in motion and find the hole and find the open zone and read things. He's great at that stuff. So I just think it's interesting. I think it's something the Packers have used, and I think there are one of the teams that do it. And I think the Vikings are the other team that do it. And I think the Bears and the Lions are pissed. And I think there's a whole lot of 14 other teams that are pissed. And if they ever find out about the stuff, I think it's very interesting.
Yep. Goody's link to Jordan Love. How that works out.
Oh yeah, there's no doubt. It's all. 100%. I mean, he started it, and it's going to be the end now. Like, if Jordan Love stinks, he'll be gone. Goody will be gone.
Yep.
Matt LaFluer will probably be gone. It's not Matt LaFleur's fault, but maybe it is though, because Matt LaFleur was super high on Jordan Love.
Yeah, he sat idly by these last how many years. So Matt LaFleur is, if he's out, it's all his own doing. He didn't do enough.
That's not nice.
It's the truth. Brandy says that window lick test is something. Yeah, don't do the window lick test, but do the wonder lick. It's good for you, and you never know when you might need it. That's what I learned here with my most recent job. All right,
the Wonder Rick test.
The Wonder Rick also.
Yeah, are you telling me the Wonder Rick test helped you with your getting hired at your new job?
Yeah, I got all my results. The HR shared them with me, and it was pretty funny. I'll finish on that. It was pretty awesome.
I want to hear this.
So like, I didn't blow the test out of the water. Let's just say that.
Well, I know you. I know you didn't do that.
But what was funny is, so for the position I was going for, there was kind of like ideal ranges where you would score, for this position or whatever. And it wasn't like the top end for certain things, and as the HR person explained to me, and she wasn't trying to like insult me, but she said, yeah, if you score within this range, that means you're intelligent enough. You're likely intelligent enough to do this job, but you're also not going to be bored by this job to the point where it's not enough for you. So if you scored too high on it, then you wouldn't be a good fit for this job either, because you're probably looking for a different challenge, or you're going to be bored with it, or you're too smart for it, or whatever. So I definitely wasn't too smart for it, but I did fit within the range. I was close to the middle. I was a little sub-middle, a tiny bit sub-middle.
That sounds about right.
Of the optimal range for the job. And that's why they were like, yeah, you're a good fit for this job. Not because you're so smart, but because you're the right amount of smart-ish, close to the right amount of smart. That was the end result of the test, basically.
Well, last year during draft day, which people should hang out with us on the draft night again, because we have fun. Last year we did the Wonder Rick. We were drunk, did the Wonder Rick, and we did a good job.
I was impressed by the math. This other test I took, I'd love to replicate that. I don't know if I can get it, because it had so many of these like sequence things, and you had to pick what came next. And at first they start out easier with 4 or 5 in a row. What comes next? What's the pattern here? Blah 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 blah. And then it would be like 20 tiles or 20 things in a row, and like very little.
I'd lose
very tiny variations, and you'd have to figure out. And when I was talking to the HR person, and she was like, "Oh, I can share your results with you. Here, I'll send them to you." She's like, "Oh yeah, for that stuff, I just guessed," because I was like, "Oh, this is too hard." But I was like, really, that's why I didn't get through as many questions, because I was like, I know I can figure this out, So I took a little more time doing that. I didn't just be like slap one of the answers in there, and I got basically all of them right. I only answered 29 questions. There are 50 questions total, and they're like, you're probably not going to get through all 50 in, limited amount of time. I only answered 29 questions, but I got 24 questions correct of the 29 I answered. So,
wow.
There was some math shit in there too. So,
take that, Rick.
Pretty good. I don't know. So I'm the right amount of smart.
I'm not a smart man, but I know who love is.
All right. That's what I got for you to end the show tonight.
Sounds good.
We will.
Sorry about technical difficulties. God dang, Vernon.
You just got to say it. Yeah, I take care.
Was that quote worth it or what?
David Bakhtiari peeling back the curtain, showing us.
If anybody who showed up late, go back and listen. Go back and listen to the David Bakhtiari quote about Aaron Rodgers not caring about pass protection. All right, that maybe I stretched it a little, but listen to the quote. You tell me. Maybe I don't know.
That is one format. They just reveal all the secrets on there. Man, I don't know. Those busting with the boy, they just get too relaxed around them, because they don't seem like anybody who really knows what's going on. They forget the cameras are on, and they just say everything. Damn. All right. Well, that's just the in-depth look at the Packers and us tonight. We'll be back next week. Be good, stay good, and as always, we want the Packers to be good. I'm excited for the draft. We're getting closer. A couple more weeks and we're there, guys. It's going to be fun. Join us for draft specials, but we got one more show before then. Catch you next week.
Tell me why the unicorn must you